Welcome to tonight's ghost story with me, Wushu Richard Clark. Tonight I'm going to tell you a story, and this story could be true, we just don't know. So relax into the darkness and don't have a nightmare tonight. Tonight's story is about the old dusty man of the spooky village. There was an old spooky village, they say, where nobody lived for years, or almost nobody. The residents were far and few between. It had a long history, but ever since the Great Fog came all those years ago, which passed, the place hasn't been the same as it once was. Now the few residents that live there actually keep to themselves. It's a kind of cold, morbid existence. Now, legend has it that the tale goes that one time some campers were driving through their village. There was 2 boys and 2 girls. They were in love, oh yeah. Now, the 2 girls were eaten by zombies on the way. Just joking, I don't know where they went, but they left the 2 boys. Then, the boy went missing, the other boy. Later on, they supposedly found their bones in bags. It was the police or something. Creepy goings on. All kinds of gossip was going on in nearby other towns. And when I say nearby, I mean miles away from anything. Now the one man that did survive, or the young guy, his name was John. Nothing special about the name. But he was chosen for something that night. He walked through the village, door to door. Why did he stop there? He couldn't remember. He lost his memory. He didn't even know that his friends were missing. He knew he had a car, but he couldn't remember where he parked it. And he couldn't remember that he was on his way to the forest to camp there under the moonlight. It was getting late that evening and he was walking from door to door knocking. Nobody was answering because this village was almost totally empty. Now, what happened is John started to get a chill up his spine, all the way up to his skull. And then he knocked on the door. The final door, which also would not open. The next door neighbour opened the door and came out. It was an old man. His skin was rotten. He looked like a dead man. His face looked like a skull with a sheet of thin skin over it. Crisp roast. John almost shit himself. And the old man said, "Beware, you must leave here." And John said, "Fuck off." He thought he was dreaming, and he fell down, passed out, totally collapsed in the street. He woke up in the middle of the night, hearing the sound of a beer bottle rolling past his head. He thought it must have been that drunk old man he met earlier on, who was now nowhere to be seen, even in the shadows. He stood up and dusted himself off, looked around. He could barely make out the shapes of the buildings. He walked up to one wall and felt his way along the path, feeling the wall, the brickwork. And he could feel an opening, like a hole or some kind of, not a gate, but an open where a doorway should be. And there was cobwebs. He walked through the cobwebs. Cobwebs went all right through his hair. With the moonlight shining down now, only so slightly, his hair looked white like an old man himself. He was a young man, John, and he'd never believed in anything creepy before. Things were about to change. John walked to an old rusty metal gate, and he opened it. Like that. Then he walked forward, tripped over a little stone stump. He nearly fell down, but he regained his balance quickly, looked around, and he realised this was a graveyard, a cemetery. Why then were there hands coming up from the ground slowly through the soil and just slowly grasping at the air? One was inches just away from his ankle. How did he get here? Where was he going? What was going on, he thought. He started to jog down this dusty path through the long grass. This cemetery hadn't been taken care of. But what was going to get taken care of tonight was more than he could imagine. Everything was so strange. As he looked up, he saw some kind of silhouette of a building up on one of the top of the hills there. Not a star in the sky, just the moon. But a purplish, bluish mist was swirling just before the building, in front of it, like a fog. He was still sure that this could be a possibility, that he's dreaming, because how could those hands be moving so slowly like that as they grasped through the soil coming up from the ground? As he looked back over his shoulder, he saw that the arms were sticking up even further. It's right up to the elbows. And as he looked around, he realised that they were actually pulling themselves up from the soil now. And you could see skull heads slowly coming up through the soil, with dust and soil pouring out from every orifice. He turned back round and looked up towards the hill, and you heard the voice again. "I told you to leave here." It was the old man again. That was it. He blinked his eyes. He was blinking like a nervous wreck, like someone just on crack or something. And John blinked a final time. He blinked again after the final blink, in a crazy, frightful syndrome, and he found himself in a brightly lit modern bathroom. Where was he? Posh looking place, maybe a hotel. Blood started to pour down the mirror, and then a face came towards the mirror and said, "You're gonna fucking rot, bastard!" The lights went off. It went so dark, and John almost fainted. Suddenly, after he farted, in the silence was a scream.
Have a good night tonight, bastard! Oh yeah!